tonight, we dive into a very strange story. What if the most terrifying kind of power isn't loud at all? Not planet killers or invincible armadas, but a civilization that decides, calmly and long in advance, if they come for us, well, simply make sure they can't touch us, and we won't even raise our voice. It's a weird sort of comfort and dread at the same time. Isn't it because you grow up on stories where the side with bigger guns wins, or the underdogs charge anyway? But imagine a species that studies everyone else's fears, rewrites its maps, quietly rewires its trade, and promises itself one thing: we will never fire first. But if you force us, we will never be your victims. That's the mood tonight. Patience sharpened into something the galaxy didn't see coming. So get comfortable, let Tade's noise slide into the background, and hold on to this question. What does war look like when one side refuses to play by the usual script? In the far future, long after the panic has faded and turned into museum exhibits and late-night lectures, there's a story they tell about humans, not as conquerors, not as martyrs, but as the rumor everyone regrets testing. At the center of it is a man in a plain gray suit, named Daniel Mercer, standing alone in a ring of alien empires who think they're in control. He asks them, very gently, not to send their fleets toward Earth, and they laugh, vote, and send them anyway. Imagine the sky above your home going quiet. No ships, no news, no traffic across the stars, just stillness. Not because your world has fallen, but because your people decided long ago that if the galaxy ever came for them, they would not meet fire with fire. They would answer with patience, silence, and proof. This is the story of how humans became a rumor in the dark. Easy to attack, impossible to truly hurt. It is told like a late-night report from a future museum, long after the fear has faded. At the center of it stands a calm man in a gray suit, standing in a bright hall full of alien empires that think they are safe. His name is Daniel Mercer. He asked them, very gently, not to start this. They did not listen. Daniel Mercer stood in a circle of light. The Galactic Council chamber hung in orbit above a quiet blue star, a glass and crystal ring with a hollow center. Seats rose in tiers, layer upon layer, each shaped for a different species. Some were thrones of metal, some were nests, some were tanks filled with violet water. Hundreds of eyes, lenses, and sensor clusters watched him. He smoothed the front of his simple gray suit. No rank bars, only a small Earth emblem on his chest, a pale blue dot crossed by a thin silver ring. The air smelled faintly of ozone and cold stone. Above him, the clear roof showed a slow spin of stars. Thin lines of traffic glowed outside, ships moving along warp corridors, bright as veins in the dark. Daniel took a breath. "Honored council," he said, his voice steady. "Ambassador Daniel Mercer of Earth, I speak today about the proposed policing action against human space." The translator system softened his words, turning them into light sound, color patterns, and scent waves for those who did not hear. Across the chamber, some old empires shifted, amused. Human speech was still new to them, harsh, direct. High above, in the central dais stood Speaker Threxium. The speaker's body was tall and jointed, like polished bone wrapped in thin gold mesh. 6 lidless eyes glowed soft amber. Threxium's people, the sovereign, were among the oldest in the council. They had watched dozens of young species arrive, beg for entry, and accept whatever place they were given. Humans, in their view, had not learned their place yet. The record notes your presence. Ambassador Mercer, Threxium said, voice dry. You may speak briefly before the vote. Briefly. Always briefly. Daniel let silence hang for a moment, not long enough to be rude, just long enough to remind them that he was not rushing. Members of the council, he said, Earth acknowledges the concern about our outer colonies. Our traders have grown bold. Our colonies have grown fast. Some borders were crossed without full approval. For that we accept responsibility. Soft rustles moved through the chamber. Some delegates signaled agreement along their shared network lines. Yes, humans had been hasty. They always were. On a small balcony near the human position, the rest of Earth's delegation listened. A young woman in navy blue leaned forward, knuckles tight on the rail. Daniel did not look back at her. Not yet. What we do not accept, Daniel said gently, is the idea that we must be punished like children. You call this a policing action. You say it is limited, controlled, symbolic. You say it will teach us respect. He looked slowly around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as he could. We ask you not to do this, he said. A hiss of amusement came from the card Dominion box. Their High Admiral, wrapped in dark armor and bright honor rings, tapped dull claws against the railing. The car had helped write the rules for policing actions centuries ago. In their history, swift, sharp strikes had ended dozens of border disputes. You sent a fleet. You shattered a few stations. You took away some toys. The young species remembered its place, and life went on. To be clear, Ambassador, Speaker Threxium said, the policing action would be small, limited to outer holdings. No strikes on your homeworld or central infrastructure. No attempt to erase your culture. This is routine. The word routine slid through the air like oil. Daniel nodded once. I understand the word. I also understand what it feels like when your far colonies burn and your people run. Routine for you will not feel routine to us. You exaggerate, clicked a delegate from the Al-Nari hives. From behind a translucent membrane, the proposal clearly bans extermination strikes. Yes, Daniel said, I have read it. He let his gaze pass over the glowing vote, tallies circling the upper ring. Most showed green in favor. A few were still gray, undecided. It would not be enough. He knew that. He had known that before he left Earth. Members of the Council, he said, Earth is not asking for mercy. We are asking for respect. You see us as loud newcomers. You see a fast-growing species on the edge of your old trade network, full of noise and questions. You worry we will turn into a threat, like others you have known in the past. He spread his hands, palms open. "We will not fire first." Several delegates exchanged fast band scans at that. No first strike. Had he just promised that on record? "Repeat that," Speaker Threxium said carefully. "Earth will not fire first," Daniel said. "We will not begin a war. We do not seek to conquer, and we accept that we are young here." On the human balcony, the young woman's jaw clenched. She knew what he was not saying yet. "But," Daniel went on softly, "we are not unprepared. Decades ago, when we first applied for council entry, we studied your history. We saw how you handle fear. We saw how you punish those who do not fit your pattern. We decided that if your fear ever turned toward us, we would not answer it with more fear. We would answer with proof." He saw the word land. Proof. Curious, annoyed, mildly interested. "Explain," said a delegate from the Kari Union, her tentacles shifting in a tank of clean water, lights flickering with her mood. "Proof of what?" "Proof that we are not easy prey," Daniel said. "Proof that punishing us will cost you more than it teaches you. Proof that the rules you use on juniors do not work on us." High Marshal Sarek Val of the Coalition Fleet sat in a special military alcove, heavy armor resting across powerful shoulders. His crest plates were marked with past campaigns. He smiled a slow, sharp smile. Humans love to talk. "Ambassador Mercer," Speaker Threxium said, "our records do not show any human fleet that compares to a full coalition task force. Your colonies have light patrol ships. Your stations have standard defensive guns. Your homeworld has modest orbital defenses. Are we missing something?" Daniel let his hands fall to his sides. "No," he said. "Your records are correct. Our warships are few. Our stations are simple. Our colonies are thinly guarded." A quiet chuckle slid through the car block. A few other seats glowed in shades that meant predictable, expected, as modeled. "Then your warning is unclear, Threxium. You speak of cost, yet you admit your weakness." Daniel shook his head slightly. "You are used to strength you can see, big fleets, bright weapons, flags raised over conquered worlds. That is not our path." He thought of Colorado deep under old mountains, where an underground command center hummed quietly beneath snow. He thought of Admiral Caravance watching hundreds of silent status lights. He thought of Dr. Elias Chen, calm behind his glasses, standing beside a model of the shipping lanes that linked human space like delicate glass. None of that was in council records. On record, Daniel said, "Earth requests that you cancel the policing action. If that is not possible, we ask that you restrict it only to formal protests and trade limits. No fleets, no raids, no strikes." "The proposal has already passed subcommittee," Threxium replied. "Your request is noted. It is unlikely." Their 6 eyes studied him closely, searching for anger, for panic. Daniel offered neither. "I understand," he said. "Do you threaten the council, Ambassador?" asked a gravel-voiced delegate from the Sure Concord, leaning forward. "Is that what this is?" No, Daniel said softly. I am trying to stop you from walking into something you do not see. Another small burst of amusement. Young species were always sure they had found a new trick. You talk of proof, Speaker Threxium said. What kind of proof? Daniel looked up at the star-splashed roof. The kind you do not see until you are already inside it, he said. The kind that does not start wars, but does not let them spread. The kind that turns your own strength into a wall around our space. High Marshal Sarek Val flicked his crest in a gesture of boredom. Ambassador, Threxium said, tone cooling. The Council cannot base policy on vague warnings. Humanity has grown quickly, and some of your colonies have ignored trade boundaries. The policing action is designed to be limited and educational. We have used such measures for thousands of cycles. And for thousands of cycles, Daniel said, you have trained young species to fear you, to stay small, to never test your rules. Several old empires did not look offended. They looked proud. Yes, a car delegate said simply. Daniel felt a slow, tired weight in his chest. He was not here to win their hearts. He was here to place a marker in the record so that later, when things changed, they would not be able to say they were not warned. Then let the record show, he said, voice very clear, that Earth asked you not to send your fleets. Let the record show that we did not fire first. Let it also show that if your coalition moves into human space, you do so without full knowledge of what waits there. Threxium's eyes narrowed. Is that a confession of hidden weapons? Daniel met those ancient eyes and did not look away. It is a statement of fact, he said. You have modeled our behavior using your old patterns. You do not yet understand us. You think a policing action will make us obedient. It will not. It will teach us something else. And what is that? Threxium asked. That we were right to prepare for the day you did not listen, Daniel replied. Silence settled for a long breath. Then Threxium straightened. The council will proceed to vote. Lights brightened across the chamber. Voting bands glowed as delegates touched pads, pulsed scents, or scent-coded flashes. The upper ring tallies shifted, green spread, almost lazy. In less than a minute, it was done, by clear majority. Speaker Threxium said, the Council authorizes a limited policing action against designated human frontier holdings. Terms are as described in Resolution 73D. Ambassador Mercer, you may convey this decision to your government. On the human balcony, the young woman shut her eyes. Understood, he said. You are dismissed, Threxium added. Daniel gave a small, formal bow. Thank you for your time. He turned and walked back toward the human section. As he moved, he passed other delegations. A few watched him with a touch of pity, some with mild interest, most with that distant, superior calm that said, this has all happened before. A car officer called softly as he passed, translator catching the words, do not worry, Ambassador. It will be quick. Your people will learn discipline and return to their trade. This is how the galaxy grows up. Daniel paused for a moment, His face almost showed something sharp. Then it smoothed. "I hope," he said quietly, "that your fleets learn something too." He did not wait for an answer. He stepped into the human access corridor. The door slid shut, muting the sound of the chamber. Outside, stars burned. Quiet and steady, the young woman from the balcony caught up to him. "They didn't listen," she said, voice tight. "You knew they wouldn't, didn't you?" "Yes," Daniel said. "Then why ask?" she demanded. "Because history will listen," Daniel replied. "And because when this is done, I want it to be clear who started it." She hesitated. "Do you think the doctrine is ready?" In his mind, he saw Admiral Vance standing over a map of warp corridors, hands behind her back. He saw Dr. Elias Chen's network of false maps drifting like a second, hidden galaxy behind the real one. "It has to be," Daniel said. As they walked, a small alert pulsed on the inner surface of his left wrist. A tight beam message from Earth bounced through a private encryption channel. "Collision flutes already mobilizing. PHA-0C cleared." "Vance," Daniel let the message fade. "They will think they are walking into a clean, simple action," he said softly. "A routine lesson. And what will they actually be walking into?" the young woman asked. He looked through the nearest window at the starlit dark. "Proof," Daniel said. "Far away, on a quiet blue world called Earth, entire networks were about to go silent." The council had ignored his warning. That did not mean they had escaped it. On Earth, the sky over Colorado was clear. Snow lay in quiet folds along the mountain ridges. The air was sharp and cold. From high above, the planet looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, thin golden lines of city lights on the night side. Deep under the mountains, Admiral Cara Vance stood in a command room with no windows at all. The room was long and low, lined with consoles and wall displays. Holographic maps hovered in the air. Starfields, trade routes, warp corridors, colored arcs showing the reach of human colonies. Rows of officers sat at their stations, faces lit by pale screens. On the central display, a cluster of red markers pulsed at the edge of human space. "Coalition task forces confirmed," said a young analyst. "Flagships from Kar, Shur, and Kari fleets. Additional support from 3 minor powers. Estimated strength, 112 capital ships, hundreds more escorts." 112 capital ships, hundreds more escorts. Cara Vance watched in silence. Her hair was shaved close at the sides, dark on top. Her uniform was black with a single silver stripe. No showy medals. Her eyes were steady. "How long until they reach our declared border?" she asked. 4 days at current warp. They're staying just inside the legal corridor, like they expect us to be watching. "They want us to see them coming," Kara said. "They want this to feel official." At the back of the room, Dr. Elias Chen adjusted his glasses and tapped a pattern on his tablet. He wore no uniform, just a simple shirt and vest. His hair was starting to gray at the temples, but his hands moved quick. "They're broadcasting council authorization codes every few minutes," Elias said, loud and clear. They're very proud of their paperwork. A few officers gave small, tight smiles. Kara turned to a side display. A live image of the Galactic Council chamber showed Daniel Mercer leaving the hall, then cut off as the feed ended. Ambassador Mercer's speech is complete, the communications officer said. Council vote confirmed. Policing action approved. Kara nodded once. There was no surprise in her face, only a slow settling, like a stone finally touching the bottom of a pool. Then this is it, she said. Initiate Silent Earth. A hush moved through the room. This was the part that had only ever been practice until now. Years of drills. Years of what if. No one moved for half a second. Then the room woke up. Global comms, stand by, called a woman at the front row. On your mark, Admiral. Kara stepped up to the central console. A small panel slid open, showing a simple switch and a biometric pad. No glowing red button, no drama, just a firm little device that did what it was told. She placed her hand on the pad. It scanned her palm, her bones, the tiny data implant under her skin. Admiral Kara Vance, the system said softly. Confirm Silent Earth order. Confirm, Kara said. Authorization Vance. 07 Black. Silent Earth. Full protocol. Accepted, the system replied. The switch glowed green. Kara flipped it. Across Earth and throughout human space, a change began. In orbit above the planet, hundreds of civilian satellites went dark in an instant. Not dead, just quiet. They switched to tight beam backups, narrow and hidden. Wideband broadcasts stopped. Along the major warp corridors, human navigation beacons changed their signals. To neutral traffic, they still looked normal. To coalition military ships running on their own hardened systems, they now sent slightly altered location data, not enough to trip alarms. Just enough to make their maps very gently wrong. On outer colonies, trade hubs shut their open links. Public channels went still. Only the encrypted lines stayed alive, thin and hard to detect. From the outside, it would look like a sudden, nervous blackout. Inside the Colorado Command Center, status lights flicked from blue to amber, then settled at a calm white. Silent Earth is in effect, the communications officer said. Public nets down. Ghost nets up. Civilian traffic rerouted or parked. False map network is live, Elias added, quietly. Our overlays are in place, along all major corridors. Kara turned to him. Your work, Doctor. Time to see if it holds. Elias Chen smiled in a small, tired way. It will hold. The question is how long we let it run. On the main map, the coalition fleets inched forward. Icons showed their projected paths, pulsing in faint red. Around them, the human false map network glowed as a second dim grid, almost transparent. Explain it to me again, said a new intelligence officer softly, mostly for their own nerves. The network, in plain language. Elias glanced at Kara. She gave a small nod. It was good for the team to hear it out loud now. "All right," Elias said, stepping closer to the map. His voice was calm, almost like a late-night teacher. "Think of space as a big ocean, and ships as boats. No landmarks, no shores, just open water in every direction. To travel, you need lighthouses and buoys to tell you where you are, where the safe currents are, where the rocks are hiding." He tapped an image of a navigation beacon. It spun slowly. "In space, our lighthouses are nav beacons," he said. "Fixed points that send out signals. Here I am. Harry's the safe path. Harry's the warp corridor you can use." All modern nav systems listen to them. Even the Coalition's advanced warships use some of the same base data. Cleaned and improved, of course. The young officer nodded, watching. "Now," Elias went on, "what if some of those lighthouses were ours? And what if instead of shouting the truth to everyone, they whispered slightly different truths to different listeners?" "Not whispered," Kara cut in. "No poetic language in here. Plain terms." Elias gave a small shrug. "Right. What if they broadcast one version of the map to neutral trade ships and another? Slightly altered version to any ship running a target profile that matches Coalition military." The officer frowned. "How would they know the difference?" "Signal fingerprints," Elias said. "Every nation's ships have a pattern. The way their engines pulse, the way their computers ask for new data. We've been watching Coalition ships for 30 years. Every time they passed our space, we logged them. We learned their habits." He pointed to a set of waveforms on the side screen. "So our beacons listen back," he said. "If a ship asks for directions using, say, car combat fleet patterns, the beacon shifts its signal by a tiny amount, a fraction of a degree, barely noticeable short term. But over long distances, those tiny angles turn into big errors. And that's the false map," the officer said slowly. "You don't stop their ships, you just lie about where they are." "Gently," Elias said. "We don't want them to slam into stars or planets. That would be messy and obvious. We just nudge them into the wrong corridors. Old mining lanes, regions with poor support. Places where they can be handled quietly." Kara studied the map. In the upper left, a small box showed a list of flagged Coalition ships that had already entered human beacon range. Each name had a tiny tag. Position offset 0.0006 degrees. "It will look like normal drift," she said. "It will look like normal drift," she said. "Computer errors. Pilot mistakes. Nothing clear enough to scream sabotage." Elias nodded. "If they check more than twice, they'll find small mismatches. But military doctrine says their hardened systems are more trustworthy than public beacons. They will assume the beacons are wrong or noisy and correct using their own models. And their own models," Kara said, "are exactly what you learned to twist." "Yes," Elias said softly. He did not sound proud, just certain. A logistics officer raised a hand. "What about fuel?" They'll notice if they keep burning more than they expected. We planned for that, Elias replied. Fuel sabotage is the second layer. He tapped a different part of the screen. A web of tiny symbols along the trade routes that led into Coalition space. For years, he said, we've been selling them fuel treatments, better storage gels, improved injector parts, cleaner filters. All legal, all tested, all with very small preferences. The additives and parts perform perfectly under standard loads, but under repeated emergency burns and rapid corridor jumps, they start to drift off. Spec. In what way? Kara asked. Efficiency drops, Elias said. Burn stability weakens. Reactors need more frequent cooling cycles. Nothing sudden, nothing explosive, just higher usage, slower recharge, more time stuck at low power. And they bought this from us? A tech muttered. They insisted. Elias said, our chemistry has a good reputation. At another console, a woman monitoring civilian traffic shook her head in quiet disbelief. So the more they push their ships to rush this small policing action, the more their own gear drags them down. Exactly. Elias said, they will still reach our border. They will still win some early strikes, but every easy victory will cost them more fuel, more maintenance, more time than they planned. And all the while, the false map network will be steering their recovery fleets into places where we can tidy up. Kara looked at a secondary display that showed human colonies by category. Core, might range, fringy. The fringe worlds glowed in pale yellow. These worlds, she said, touching the fringe section. They know their role. Yes, Elias said. They've rehearsed for years. Partial evacuations, key data wiped, bait structures left behind. To Coalition scouts, they will look under-defended and a bit disorganized. Perfect targets. And what happens when the Coalition lands? The young intelligence officer asked quietly. On those worlds, Kara's jaw tightened. They will take them. We will not stop every landing. That is part of the design. The officer looked sick. Part of the design? This is not about stopping all pain, Kara said, voice low but firm. It is about containing it. About choosing where it lands and what it teaches. We are not strong enough to meet them ship for ship. If we try, we lose everything. So we show them small, easy victories in places we have already prepared to lose, while the real work happens elsewhere. On the main screen, a small human mining station at the edge of a gas giant lit up with a Suscarficial tag. Supplies moved out on fast freighters before going dark. Local defense ships received a simple, brutal order. Stand down and withdraw before contact. They will call us cowards, the logistics officer said softly. They already do, Kara replied. I am not interested in how they describe us. I am interested in where their fleets are 3 months from now. A soft chime sounded. A new red marker blinked. First Coalition scout group has entered modified beacon range, the analyst said. False map handshake successful. Position offset at .003 degrees and growing. Any sign they noticed? Kara asked. None, the analyst replied. Their course corrections match standard nav routines. They adjusted in the wrong direction. They trust their own systems more than ours. Good, Elias said. The old empires always trust their own models more. It is their blind spot. In a corner, a large display showed a slowly updating table labeled Collation Elos, known/projected. For now, the numbers were small and mostly gray. They would not stay that way. Kara moved closer to Elias. Talk to me about the clean wrecks, she said softly. Daniel mentioned them in his scenarios. How does that part work in practice? Elias folded his arms. Eyes on the map. The third layer, when ships are off course and their fuel is under strain, they become more dependent on local support. Emergency depots, private service yards. We've seeded a number of such sites in the regions our false maps will guide them toward. These aren't real depots, Kara said. They are real enough, Elias answered. They have docks, repair drones, rest bays. They even carry supplies, but they are also laced with systems that can gently disable, strip, and recycle visiting ships. A junior tech swallowed. Recycle. We will not leave dead, hulks drifting in space. Elias said, too obvious, too easy to study. Instead, once a coalition ship has docked and shut down engines for repair, the depot's internal systems isolate key sections. They cut power, lock hatches, and vent compartments in a controlled way. No big explosions, no bright flashes, just systems that quietly fail. Crew are contained, sedated if possible. Hulls are broken down by drones and repurposed as raw material. For what? Kara asked. Defensive architecture, hidden forts, signal nodes, or simply dense scrap masses placed at key points in space, Elias said. To other coalition ships, the remains will look like old debris fields, clean, strange wrecks. Strange wrecks, little physical evidence of a fight, would be on the stars. Shen and the crews? Kara asked. Elias' face stayed calm, but his eyes tightened. If all goes according to the plan, most will live. They will be placed in stasis and held in secure sites outside normal lanes. We are not trying to exterminate their people. We are trying to remove their tools. The room went very quiet. We are building a maze, Kara said, more to herself than to the room. A soft maze, with no burning walls. But a maze all the same. Elias nodded once. Daniel called it the silent Earth Doctrine. No first strikes. No grand battles. Just layers of misdirection and quiet arrests, until their fleets are tangled and tired and going nowhere fast. On a far screen, a timer marked PH1 duration ticked upward. The silent Earth Doctrine had been designed in phases. Silence, stretch, strain, proof. They were now in silence. The analyst spoke again. Admiral, Coalition news feeds are reporting the start of the action. They're showing images of their fleets leaving home ports. Celebrations. Great fanfare. Their leaders are saying it will be swift. Kara's mouth thinned. Do they show our response? Only that our outer colonies lack strong defenses, the analyst said. They're calling us overconfident, naive. It will help them believe the early wins, Elias said. They need to think we are what their models say we are. Kara thought of Daniel standing alone in that shining chamber, offering his warning in that calm voice. She wondered if he felt the weight of every choice she was now making on this side of the plan. Open, encrypted link to Ambassador Mercer, she said. Tight beam, low power. Channel forming, communications replied. There will be a delay. She faced a small dark camera at the console. Daniel, she began, voice steady. Silent Earth is active. False maps are working. Coalition scouts are entering the net. First fringe colonies are preparing for contact according to plan. You asked us to be patient. We are. She hesitated, then added, You also asked that we never fire first. We are holding to that for now. But you should know, the losses will be real. You knew that when you asked for this. I will not pretend it gets easier to watch. She paused again, then tapped the console. Send. Packet queued into GhostNet. Communication said, Hell, get it soon. On the main map, a few small human colonies on the far edge flashed from green to yellow. Their station masters were receiving final instructions. Cut public nets, hide key staff, leave just enough people and equipment behind to make the place look alive. At the same time, far beyond Earth, the first coalition raiding group dropped out of warp near a quiet human outpost, a small mining colony on a rocky moon that circled a dim red star. Live feed from Outpost Leto. An officer said, They're staying on until the last safe second. The central display shifted to show the view from a fixed camera on the colony's surface. A low horizon. Dark sky. A few human-made domes with lights glowing inside. Then, like distant stars suddenly blooming, the coalition ships flared into normal space, lines of light snapping into hard shapes. Sleek hulls. Bright insignia, weapons powered but not yet firing. They look so sure, the young intelligence officer whispered. Because they are, Elias said. Their history told them this would be easy. On screen, Outpost Leto's small defense craft lifted off not to attack, but to arc away toward a hidden corridor, using emergency jump drives tuned to human-only beacons. Most of the colony's children and key staff were already gone. The coalition hailed the outpost. Their message came through clean. This is a council-authorized polishing action. Surrender all military equipment and ACES code. Comply, and you will be spared. The outpost commander, a tired woman with dust on her face, appeared on the feed. We comply, she said. We have no weapons worth your time. In the Colorado Command Center, several officers looked away, Leto's data core? Kara asked quietly. Already scrubbed, an analyst said. Only decoy files left. Production numbers, shipping logs, incomplete tech. The coalition ships moved in. Boarding craft dropped. No shots, just firm, practiced control. To their sensors, it would look like the humans had rolled over at the first real show of force. Mark it, Kara said. First captured outpost. Casualties? Minimal, the medical officer replied. We pulled almost everyone out on the last shuttles. A few volunteers stayed to make the surrender look real. They'll be treated as prisoners. Elias said, the coalition has rules about that. They like to think of themselves as lawful. And when do we start taking their ships? The young officer asked, voice thin. Kara looked at the map. The raiding group that hit Leto turned to move deeper into human space, following what they thought was the shortest, safest path to the next lesson. But their course was already bent by false data. Quietly, gently, the silent Earth Doctrine had taken hold of their route. Not yet, Kara said. We let them have their early footage, their easy wins, their council speeches praising restraint and order. And Daniel? The officer asked. What does he do while this happens? He watches the reports, Elias said quietly. He waits. He decides when proof is enough. Kara walked back to the center of the room and stood under the main display, arms folded behind her back. This is not a war that looks like a war, she said to the room. It is a war that looks like a series of mistakes, mechanical failures, lost ships, aging fleets. No big battles, no hero moments. That is by design. I need everyone here to remember that when the news feed starts celebrating their advances. She looked at each face she could see. We are not here to feel powerful, she said. We are here to keep our people and this galaxy from sliding into something worse. The Council thinks this is routine. We will show them quietly that it is not. On the distant outpost feed, coalition troops raised their flag on a human dome. Perfect for broadcast. In Colorado, the image shrank into a corner of the screen. Labeled, Fringe loss, accepted. On the main map, the red markers moved deeper into human space. The silent Earth Doctrine turned another small gear. Admiral Kara Vance watched the gears engage and thought, very softly, that Daniel Mercer might have been right about everything, and also that he might have asked too much. But the switch had been flipped. The galaxy was walking into the plan, step by patient step. 3 months after the first raid, the galaxy said the policing action was going well. Council news feeds showed clean pictures, coalition cruisers sliding past quiet moons, boarding craft landing on small human stations, flags raised in neat, high-resolution shots. Reporters spoke of measured victories and limited resistance. On Earth, the war room in Colorado showed something else. Admiral Kara Vance stood at the main display again. The map had changed. Where there had been a few red markers before, there were now dozens spread across the edge of human space. Some flashed bright red, Coalition strike group active. Some were a duller shade, labeled Contact Lost. Around those, in faint blue and gray, ghostly lines curled like faint scratches on glass. Update, Kara said. The analyst at the front touched their console. The display zoomed in on a region labeled Mid-Range, Sector 12B. 3 red icons glowed there. Fleet Segment Car Delta, Task Group Kari 7, and Shore Patrol Nest 14. All 3 groups report successful operations in Council channels. The analyst said, captured or stabilized 6 fringe colonies and 2 mid-range stations. No major ship losses admitted. Coalition Command is calling it textbook. Council praise? Kara asked. The communications officer nodded. Speaker Threxium's office released a statement yesterday. Humanity is learning respect. The Coalition's firm, but lawful response is restoring order on the frontier. A few officers in the room made faces. Elias Chen sat at his usual station, eyes calm, fingers moving. He brought up another layer of the map with a slight gesture. Now show our side, Kara said. The display shifted again. Faint dotted lines appeared, trailing from the 3 proud red fleet icons. The dotted lines did not match the straight, confident paths the Coalition reports claimed. False map drift 37% higher than projected route, Elias said. Fuel usage up 25% over their own plans. Emergency recalibrations logged 8 times in the last week alone, and the missing signals, Kara asked. The analyst flipped another overlay on. A list appeared down the side of the screen. Kare Support Wing 4 Last Contact. 17 days Kare Escort Pack. 19 to Last Contact. 9 days Sure Supplypod Cluster 6 Last Contact. 23 days officially, the analyst said. These are all marked as lost in transit or out of contact due to navigation errors. Coalition Command thinks they've just misjumped. And unofficially? Kara asked. Unofficially, Elias said quietly, they entered our soft capture zones and did not come back out. The room went still. Show 1, Kara said. Elias called up a record. The main display switched to a dark, grainy view of space near a small, unimportant star. A cluster of human-built modules hung there, lit with faint work lights, a fake repair depot, exactly as he had described months earlier. A tired-looking Karar escort ship drifted in, hull scorched at the edges from hard jumps. Its beacon flags showed low fuel and request service. Docking arms reached out to guide it. Text overlays marked the timeline T+0, 00 FSL, docking T+0, 23 life support linked T+0, 23 2123 life. Internal hatch control Ovieri T+036 sleep gas released. Inkuru erased. T+0 48 primary reactor isolated T+1 05 to pair. Hull division begins the video. Did not show bodies. It did not show violence. It just showed panels moving, sections quietly separating, drones swarming with almost gentle motions. Labels popped up. Fru Transfer Pod, Long-Term Stasis Bay, Estuturl Reporting. At the end, the proud escort ship no longer looked like a ship. It looked like a set of linked boxes tucked into the depot's inner frames. And that's it, Elias said. One ship gone. No explosion, no distress call. From the outside, if anyone checks later, all they will see is a patch of wreckage and a confusing gap in the logs. A young officer swallowed hard. How many crews have we put into stasis like that? Elias glanced at a sideboard. As of this hour, 6,712 coalition personnel detained, spread across 23 hidden holding sites. None dead? The officer asked. Some, Elias said, voice flat. Systems fail. People resist. There are always mistakes, but far fewer than if we had fought them ship to ship. Kara listened without speaking, eyes fixed on the list of last contact units on the map. The numbers were climbing. Dr. Chen, she said at last, we need the big picture. How many of their ships are still moving freely in our space? Elias tapped a control. The red icons on the map brightened. Some faded. Confirmed active coalition capital ships. 87, he said, escorts. An estimated 250. Of those, we believe 40% are already under some level of strain. Fuel shortages, nav drift, or overloaded maintenance cycles. And our side? Kara asked. The logistics officer answered. We formally lost 12 fringe colonies and 3 mid-range stations. All were designated sacrificial or partial sacrificial. Civilian casualty estimates, low to moderate. We got most people out before contact. Most, that word sat between them like a stone. What about human ships? Kara said. Real losses. 6 patrol corvettes destroyed in early skirmishes. The officer replied. 9 more cut off and forced to self-scuttle to avoid capture. No major human warships engaged. We've kept everything heavy hidden. Kara's jaw worked once. They think we are weaker than we are. Yes, Elias said. And the longer they think that, the deeper they go into the maze. On a separate screen, news clips from coalition worlds rolled silently. Cheering crowds as their fleets departed. Calm experts explaining how the action would show firm leadership without risking real war. A talking head from the Car Dominion smiled with sharp teeth as he said, captions below. Humans good merchants, bad soldiers. This is necessary. The sound was off, but everyone in the room knew the tone. Kara looked away. Shift to underground metrics, she ordered. The main map cleared and became a grid of numbers and small graphs. Supply stress, the logistics officer said, pointing. They're burning through reserve parts much faster than planned. Black market prices for human-made fuel gels and filters are spiking in coalition space. That means their people know. Their ships are struggling, even if Central Command pretends otherwise. Communication strain. The signals officer added, lots of emergency bursts from outer task forces, all requesting extra navigation support. Coalition Command keeps sending generic advice, not civilian beacons. That's exactly what we wanted. Elias nodded. Every time they override local data with their own models, they tie themselves tighter to the false map we built. And morale? Kara asked. We don't have full data, the intelligence officer said, but intercepted messages show confusion. Some captains talk about old gear failing or bad maintenance. A few hint that human tricks might be involved. But their superiors shut that down. Admitting we outsmarted them would be politically costly, good Kara said softly. The longer they blame age and bad luck, the less likely they are to see the shape of this. A small alert chimed. Ambassador Mercer on secure line. Communications said, signal from Council Station. Audio and low-band video put him through. Kara said. Daniel's face appeared on a side screen, slightly grainy from compression. He was in a smaller, plain room this time, not the grand chamber. The background showed a simple desk and a dim view of Council Station traffic through a thick window. Admiral, he said. Dr. Chen, team. He looked older than 3 months before. Tired lines sat under his eyes. Daniel, Kara said, you've seen the reports. I have, he said, official and unofficial. Officially, they are very pleased with themselves. Unofficially, their ships are disappearing, and no one can quite say why. We are staying inside your rule, Kara said carefully. No first strikes. We only touch them when they cross lines they knew about. Daniel nodded once. I know. That's what I want to talk about. He glanced down, maybe at a pad in his hand, then back up. Run me through the last week, he said. Plain language. Kara nodded to Elias. In the last 7 days, Elias said, coalition fleets have taken 3 more sacrificial colonies. Each time we had already removed key people and tech. They broadcast these as big wins. At the same time, 6 of their support elements have failed to arrive at planned rendezvous points. He gestured, and a simple chart appeared beside Daniel's head. 3 supply pods and 3 escort groups, Elias said, all drawn slowly into our capture zones, all neutralized without open battle, no bright fights, no recorded human shots, just bad jumps, faulty fuel, and unfortunate docking mishaps. And their command? Daniel asked. Blames old ships. Elias said, blames frontier conditions. They've started a review of their maintenance cycles. It will take months. Civilian casualties? Kara answered, higher than we planned, but still far below what an open war would bring. Some colonies had to fake panic to sell the image. That always gets messy. We lost more volunteers than I like. Her voice tightened on the last part. Daniel heard it. Names? Kara hesitated. Do you need them now? Yes, he said quietly. I do. The logistics officer looked pained, but brought up a list, names scrolled, miners, techs, station guards, a few children flagged in red as evac failed. "We can send you the full record," Kara said. "Do," Daniel said. "I'll keep it." Kara studied his face. "What's happening on your side?" Daniel blew out a slow breath. "They think you are tired," he said. He said, "They say humans are learning not to grab so much. They brag that we gave up our fringe so quickly. Some of them are worried about the missing ships, but they don't connect it to us yet. They think the galaxy is just reminding them that even old fleets need upkeep." "Speaker Threxium?" Elias asked. "Publicly calm," Daniel said. "Privately curious. Their aides have asked for updated maps of our corridors twice. I stalled them, said our systems were under reconfiguration from wartime adjustments." "How long can you keep saying that?" Kara asked. "Not forever," Daniel said. "But long enough, I hope, to finish your proof." He paused, eyes on something beyond the screen, then back. "That's the thing, Kara," he said. "How much proof is enough?" The room went quiet. "What do you mean?" Kara asked. Daniel looked straight at the camera. "Right now, you are hurting their pride more than their bodies. Their ships vanish in ways that make them look clumsy. Their supplies run thin in ways that make them look unprepared. If this keeps going, the Council will have to admit that they misjudged us. They will have to treat us differently. That was the goal," Elias said. "Yes," Daniel said. "But there's a line where turning their strength against them stops being a lesson and starts being something they fear more than anything else. If we cross that, we become the story they've always told about dangerous new species." Kara folded her arms. "What are you asking us to stop doing, Daniel? Let them keep coming? Let them break more of our worlds?" "No," Daniel said at once. "I'm not asking you to let them walk all over us. I'm asking, when do we turn the maze into a mirror? When do we give them something they can see and admit out loud, instead of just losing ships to the dark and lying to themselves about it?" Elias glanced at Kara. "Hez talking about Phase 4. "Yes," Kara said slowly. "The final step, the open demonstration." Daniel nodded. "The black warship." Several officers straightened. The phrase had weight even here. "Status?" Daniel asked. Kara brought up a hidden layer of the map. A single icon glowed black, deep inside human space near a quiet star. Around it, a sphere showed NO4I Traff in bold red. "Prototype is complete," she said. "Crew trained, systems tested on deep-range drones. No live combat yet." Elias added, "We've kept it out of all normal records. As far as the Council knows, our biggest ships are still those small patrol cruisers they've seen." "Then here is the turning point," Daniel said quietly. "So far, we've let them live in a dream where they win easy and only lose ships to bad luck. We need them to wake up before they panic and escalate, before they start thinking about real war instead of policing." Kara frowned. "You think they'll escalate if we keep playing soft?" "Yes, Daniel. Said enough of their fleets just vanish without a clear cause. Someone will stand up in the chamber and say, this is not bad luck. This is human attack. They pretend to be harmless while cutting us apart, and then fear will do what fear always does. And the black warship is supposed to, what? Calm them down. The young intelligence officer blurted out. It doesn't sound calming. Daniel actually gave a thin smile. No. It will scare them, but it will scare them in a way they can understand. They see clear force and clear boundaries every day. That's their language. Right now, we're speaking in accidents and delays. That unnerves them. A single, obvious, overwhelming ship, used carefully, might actually be easier for them to accept than endless missing patrols. Elias considered this. Give them a visible wall, he said slowly. Not an invisible swamp. Exactly, Daniel said. They respect walls. They hate swamps. Kara watched him closely. You realize if we send that ship out, the mask comes off, we stop being the young, slightly foolish traders they imagine. Every camera will record it. Every child on every world will see that humans built something that can crush their finest fleets. Daniel's eyes did not move. And then, Kara pressed. Then what? Daniel, do we park it over their capitals? Force treaties down their throats? Make them remember us the way they remember the monsters from their old wars? He was quiet for a moment. No, he said at last, we use it once, maybe twice, just enough to box them in, then we stop. We show them we could go further and choose not to. Kara looked like she wanted to argue, but the logistics officer cut in. Admiral, they said, we may not have the luxury of waiting much longer anyway. Look at this. They pushed a new report to the main screen. Coalition command orders scrolled in a sharp alien script, translated along the side. New directive, the officer said. High Marshal Sarek Vol is consolidating his scattered fleets into 3 larger corps, has moving to close our mid-range in a slow squeeze instead of relying on small raiding groups. The map zoomed in to show 3 thick red masses forming out of many smaller icons. Lines showed their planned push toward human mid-range hubs. If those groups reach our deeper colonies, the officer said, our soft networks may not be enough to stop them without heavy loss. They'll bring full support, more redundancy, more eyes. Our false maps work best on smaller, stretched forces, not on dense, cautious cores. Elias nodded, worried. Once they mass like that, our capture depots become much harder to hide. A single missing scout is unlucky. A single missing scout is unlucky. A missing cruiser squadron raises questions. A missing half-fleet screams sabotage. So either we let those corps hit our mid-range hard, the intelligence officer said, or we show our hand before they get there. Silence sat in the room again. Daniel spoke into it. Kara, I need your honest answer. If we keep the black warship hidden and try to bleed these 3 fleets with false maps and fuel games, how much can we really limit the damage? Kara stared at the clusters of red. Some, she said at last. We could bend their routes, slow their advance, but not enough. They'd still smash some of our stronger colonies. The deaths would rise, and the longer this drags on, the more likely they are to figure parts of the trick out. So the choice, Daniel said, is between a slow, ugly squeeze with rising casualties and a sudden, sharp shock they will never forget. He looked tired as he said it. I designed this doctrine so that we never fired first. He added quietly, we haven't. But I also knew this day would come where holding to silence alone would cost too much. Kara's jaw worked. You're asking me to release the ship. I'm asking you, Daniel said, to help me draw a line in a way they will actually see, a controlled, unmistakable line. After that, we talk, or we try. Elias cleared his throat. Ambassador, if we bring the black warship out, you need to be ready on your side too. You need to stand in that chamber the moment the footage hits and say, this is the proof you demanded. Now stop. If we show them our full hand but you lose the political fight, we will have handed them their worst fear with no new rules to contain it. Daniel nodded. I know. He straightened his shoulders. Even in the small screen. All right, he said softly. Here is what we do. Let the coalition have one more set of easy victories along their current path. We watch their 3 cores move closer. When the first core steps into the deep corridor near our mid-range hub at Kepler 9-2, we send the black warship to meet them. No tricks, no false maps. A clear recorded engagement. Alone? Kara asked. Yes, Daniel said, alone. We want them to understand that what they are facing is not a fluke of terrain, not a minefield, not some old trap left by another empire. It is us, Kara asked. Daniel's answer came slowly. Minimal lethal force, he said. Show them what the ship can do, but don't wipe them all out. Disable as many as possible. Break enough hulls in clear view that no one can say it was an accident. But wherever you can, leave survivors who saw it happen, witnesses. Yes, Daniel said, witnesses who can testify that we could have killed them all and chose not to. That part matters more than anything. Kara took this in, then gave a short, sharp nod. She did not like it, but she understood it. I'll notify the Kepler 9-2 command, she said. They'll clear a wide field. No stray traffic. No civilians and the line of fire. Make sure the cameras work, Daniel added. Ours and theirs. We want the galaxy to see what happens. From both angles. The idea felt strange in the war room. For months, they had hidden everything, made problems vanish in the dark. Now they would step into the spotlight on purpose. Understood, Kara said. Daniel's eyes softened a little. Kara, thank you. I know what this asks of you and your crews. She shook her head. Save that for later. Right now, I have a ship to move. They cut the line. The room remained quiet for a few long seconds. Then Kara snapped back into command. All right, she said. We're moving into strain and starting to prepare for proof. New orders continue soft operations against isolated coalition units, but no new capture attempts against major cores. Focus false map work on steering the first core, Car Prime Group, toward Kepler. 9-2. Elias nodded. Family, we can do that. Tiny nudges, bad shortcuts, attractive fake distress calls along the route. Fuel status? Kara asked. We can increase stress there too, Elias said. Our additives will make their reactors run hot if they try to slow down and scan too much. They'll feel pushed to hurry through the corridor. Right where we want them. Good, Kara said. But mark every extra risk, no sloppy overuse. We don't want a random ship blowing up on its own and spoiling the pattern. Yes, Admiral, Elias said. She turned to the navigation officer. Bring up the black warship status board. A new panel filled half the wall. It showed the silhouette of a huge ship, dark and smooth. No sharp fins, no proud banners. Just a long, gentle curve, armor marked in shifting blue patterns as fields moved beneath it. SY Steam. Re-shield Matric. Reen Primary Beam Active Armor. Reen Primary Beam Airy Green Curray Mary B. Creen Curray Mary B-sided. A name glowed in simple white letters. HSS Kestrel. The young intelligence officer frowned. Kestrel? That's it? No scary name? We don't need scary, Kara said. We need clear. She tapped the display. A short list of test results scrolled. Simulated hits, absorbed. Practice shots on old asteroids. Armor healing times. The Kestrel was built to undo their fleet doctrines, Elias said, quietly, almost to himself. Their weapons are made to deal with each other, predictable shield patterns. Rigid formations, the Kestrel's fields don't hold still long enough for their systems to lock in fully. Their beams will spread, their missiles will be fooled. To them, it will feel like firing into smoke. And our shot? The logistics officer asked. Elias pointed to the primary beam, array line. One focus beam can slice a cruiser in half in a single, sustained hit. We've tuned it to cut clean, not explode. Again, proof, not spectacle. Kara's eyes were distant for a moment, picturing it. Signal to Kestrel, she said. Prepare for combat deployment in 72 hours. Destination and target details to follow. Communications said. Encrypted channel only. No broad orders. On the wider map, time moved. Over the next 3 days, red coalition icons crept along their paths. A few more small support ships misjumped or broke down, vanishing into human capture sites, but the 3 main cores stayed mostly intact, growing as scattered units joined them. In between updates, the war room watched more news. A car commentator laughed at a chart showing human losses, saying, "They run, we advance. This is how discipline works." A Kari analyst praised the restraint of the coalition fleets for not striking Earth directly. No one there knew how many of their own ships had gone dark in the last month. Sometimes, during quiet hours, Kara walked to the back of the room and listened to the soft hum of the machines, the murmur of officers trading data. She thought of the volunteers on sacrificial colonies, of captured crews sleeping in cold stasis on hidden stations, of Daniel standing alone in that far-off hall. "Admiral," the analyst said, on the third day, voice tense, "Car Prime Group has entered the final approach corridor to Kepler 9-2. They've ignored 3 safer routes in favor of what they think is a faster path." "Because of us?" Kara asked. "Because of us," Elias said. "We made that lane look like the cleanest. They think they're clever, trimming time to show results." Kara squared her shoulders. "Then it's time," she said. "Signal the Kestrel. Full deployment, battle condition 2. "Yes, Admiral," communications replied. In a quiet dock far from normal lanes, the black warship woke up. Engines that had only hummed at test levels roared to full power. Shields thickened. Armor plates shifted slightly as active layers came online. Inside, crews strapped into places they had drilled in 100 times, now for real. On the main screen in Colorado, a new icon moved, a small black point dropping out of its safe sphere and sliding toward the bright red mass of Car Prime Group. The room held its breath. Kara spoke into the calm. "Remember our frame," she said. "This is not revenge. This is not our chance to show them because we're angry. This is the moment we hold up a clear sign in front of their faces and say, 'Enough.'" Elias nodded, eyes not leaving the map. "Let them see," he said softly, "and then let Daniel talk." As the Kestrel closed the distance, Coalition Command still believed they were winning a small, tidy action. Patrol reports spoke of weak human resistance and good teaching outcomes. The war, to them, still looked like peace with a few rough patches. They had not yet seen what waited at the heart of the maze. The Coalition fleet saw the human ship as a shadow first. Car Prime Group had just dropped out of warp near the Kepler. 9-2 system. Dozens of cruisers and escorts slid into normal space, in tight formation, bright with running lights. Their weapons were powered, but not fully charged. This was supposed to be a push, not a war. Kepler 92's human colony lay ahead, a mid-range hub with cities on the night side, ringed by trade platforms and fuel stations. To Coalition sensors, it looked half evacuated, half panicked, perfect for a teaching strike. On the flagship of the Car Prime Group, High Marshal Sarek Vol sat in a hard metal chair, crest plates gleaming. He watched the tactical screen with a calm he had earned across decades. "Local human defenses?" he asked. "Light," his sensor chief replied. "Standard patrol craft. Orbital guns. No capital ships detected. They are running." Sarek gave a small, satisfied click. "As expected. Proceed according to Council orders. We disable some of their stations, seize control of the hub, and leave them enough to rebuild under our guidance. No more than that." His officers signaled assent, then a different sensor tech frowned. "New contact," she said. "Bearing 073 by 21. no warp signature recorded. It just appeared. "How close?" Sarek asked. "Closer than it should be," she said. "Range short. Moving on an intercept course with our core." The fleet's main display zoomed. Against the star field, a single shape slid forward. Long and dark with no bright lines or standard marker beacons. It did not flare with main drive like the way older ships did. It seemed to glide. "ID?" Sarek snapped. "Unknown," the tech said. "Mass profile. Heavy battleship. No match in Council records. Hull composition. Unusual. Energy readings. Confusing. Field layers are shifting too fast for a stable lock." Around Sarek, his officers traded quick looks. "Human?" he asked. "We don't know." The tech said, "Design is not like any human hull on file. But the transponder is. Hold on." A tone cut through the bridge. A simple, clear ping. Then a message, in clean, calm galactic standard, came over every open channel. "This is the human warship Kestrel," a voice said. "We asked for peace. You chose proof." The word human hung in the air like a weight. Sarek's crest stiffened. "Open channel," he ordered. Full broadcast. He stood, armor creaking. "This is High Marshal Sarek Vol of the Council Coalition Fleet. You are operating an undeclared capital vessel in a conflict zone. Power down and submit to inspection, or we will treat you as a hostile force." The reply came at once. "You already have," the same calm voice said. "You entered human space under armed council order and began destroying our worlds. You call it policing. We call it attack. We warned you not to." Sarek's teeth bared. "Your worlds are intact enough. You surrendered quickly. This is discipline, not war. Do not confuse the two." "Tell that," the voice said softly, "to the people who died on your lessons." On the Kar flagship, several officers flinched. Sarek felt a small tug of doubt, then shoved it down. "You have one last chance," he said. "Power down. Surrender, or we will remove you." Our authorization is clear. The human ship did not answer with words. It answered by moving. On the Kar tactical map, the Kestrel surged forward. Its outline shifted as fields thickened around it, dark armor sliding into a layered pattern that made target locks jump and wobble. "Range closing fast," the sensor chief said. "They're not firing." "Good," Sarek said. "We will. All ships, prepare to disable that vessel. Target drives and weapons. Do not aim for the planet. Concentrate on the intruder." He thought he was in control. In the Colorado command room, Admiral Caravance watched all of this in real time, through multiple feeds. One came from Kestrel's bridge. Another came from hidden human drones, sprinkled through the corridor. A third came from a stolen tap on Coalition Command's relay. On the main screen, the red mass of Car Prime Group faced a single black icon. "Kestrel reports contact," communication said. "Captain Amani requests final confirmation of engagement rules." Kara felt every eye on her. "Repeat our orders," she said. "No first shot into their formation." Let them fire first, in clear view. Record everything. Once they do, respond with minimum force needed to break their ability to continue this action. Prioritize disabling. Over killing, yes. Admiral Communications said, voice tight. Elias Chen watched the feed quietly. His fingers were still. On the Kestrel's bridge, Captain Imani Okoye stood straight, hands loosely clasped behind her back. The crew around her moved with clipped, trained focus. They're locking weapons, her tactical officer said. Multiple beams, missile racks warming. We are well inside their effective range. Shields? Imani asked. Stable. The defense chief said, adaptive armor cycling patterns every 0.2 seconds. They'll be shooting at a moving target, even if we hold course. Imani nodded once. Hold course. No weapons fire until we are hit. Cameras on external. I want every bolt and flare recorded. Aye, Captain. On the Coalition flagship, Sarek raised a hand. Fire, he said. Dozens of ships obeyed. Bright beams stabbed across space, converging on the Kestrel. Missiles streaked out in tight swarms. To Sarek's eyes, it looked overwhelming. On the Kestrel sensors, it looked like weather. The first volleys hit the human ship's fields and vanished into shifting layers of force. Energy readings spiked, then slid sideways as the adaptive shield matrix bent, caught, and rerouted the attacks along the hull's broader curve. Some hits bled through, scoring the armor. The black plates rippled, then smoothed as self-healing systems pumped new matter into the gaps. Shields holding at 94%, the defense chief reported. Armor self-repair online. No critical damage. On the Coalition bridge, sensor board screamed with confused data. Their shields don't make sense. The tech cried. They're not fixed. They're changing frequency and shape every microsecond. Our auto-targeting can't keep a lock. Adjust manually, Sarek snapped. We are, sir, the gunnery chief said through gritted teeth. It's like trying to grab water, then use more hands, Sarek growled. All ships, increase fire. Focus on that forward quarter, burn through it by brute force. More beams flared. The Kestrel's hull glowed with the impact heat rippling across its skin. For a moment, its outline blurred. Then, the glow faded. The armor stayed. In the Colorado War Room, an officer let out a breath they hadn't known they were holding. They hit us, communications said, voice tight. Multiple times. All recorded. Kara nodded. Her chest hurt. Kestrel is clear to return fire. On the Kestrel's bridge, Captain Imani's eyes were steady. Target their lead cruiser, she said. Full beam, controlled, shot. Full beam, controlled, aim to cut the hull, not detonate the core. Disabled, not destroyed. Target locked, weapons said. Primary array, charged. On my mark, Imani said. She waited 3 slow heartbeats, letting more Coalition fire splash harmlessly over their fields. Letting the cameras drink it in. "Mark," she said. Deep in the Kestrel spine, the main beam array fired. From the outside, it looked like a single line of white light, so bright it turned the local space to sharp contrast. It lanced out across the short distance and touched the car flagship cruiser. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ship opened, the beam cut through armor, decks, and internal frames as if they were soft. One smooth line straight across the cruiser's middle. The top half slid a few meters up. The bottom half sagged. No fireball bloomed. No wild explosion, just a silent, horrible separation. Emergency fields flickered, trying to contain atmosphere and debris. They only partly worked. On Car Prime's bridge, alarms shrieked. Sarek staggered as gravity failed, then re-engaged. At a wrong angle. The ceiling tilted. A console broke loose and slammed into a wall. "Status," he roared. "Main hull, breach, amidships," someone shouted. "We're cut in two, reactor containment holding for now. But we've lost half our power channels. We're dead in space." Sarek stared at the main screen. It showed his proud flagship, now a broken shape, still mostly intact, but clearly beaten. Around it, other Coalition ships that had been mid-maneuver froze in shock. On the Kestrel's bridge, weapons reported calmly, target disabled. No core detonation, minimal debris spread. "Shima mock it," she said. "First strike." "All cameras confirm." "Confirmed," Tactical said. Repeated from multiple angles. "Very clean." "Good," Imani said, though her voice did not sound pleased. "Now we show them it wasn't luck." She looked at the map. All around, Coalition ships were turning, trying to bring weapons to bear, trying to spread out, to form new formations. "Pick 3 more cruisers," she said. "Different species. Same treatment, 1 shot each. Then we shift to engine cuts." Only. In the Colorado War Room, Kara listened. "Weapons are in your hands now," she said quietly to herself. To Amani, to the ship, "Don't overdo it." The Kestrel moved with a calm that felt almost wrong against the panic around it. Another beam, another cruiser sliced open, dead but not vaporized. A sure battleship tried to charge, ramming course set. Weapons hot. The Kestrel rolled, its fields thickening on the impact side. When the sure ship hit, its own armor crumpled first. The human ship rocked, then straightened. "Sure impact vessel disabled," Defense reported. "Their noses gone." "Log it," Amani said. "We hit them once, they hit us once. Our hull held, theirs didn't. Make sure the Council sees that." Coalition comms channels, which had been full of confident orders minutes ago, now boiled with panicked shouts. "What is that thing? Why weren't we told?" "They had this. It's cheating. This isn't. This can't be human." "Retreat," someone cried. All ships fall back to the previous corridor. Warp drives are misaligned, another captain shouted. We can't jump from this position, not in this field. Our beacons are off. In truth, it wasn't the false map network hurting them now. It was simple fear. On the car flagship, Sarek clung to a railing. Ceasefire, he yelled into the calm. All ships, cease fire. Some listened, some didn't. The Kestrel's captain saw the pattern shift. Hold fire, Imani said. Let's see what they do. Her weapons chief, fingers still on the controls, held back. In the Colorado room, everyone waited, hearts beating loud in their ears. On the battlefield, the shooting slowed. A few last beams flicked out, then cut off. Missiles that had already launched were intercepted by the Kestrel's point defenses and turned to harmless dust. Then there was space, just space. Dozens of coalition ships, shaken and bruised, faced a single, still human vessel that had barely breathed hard. On every channel, the Kestrel's calm voice spoke again. This is the human warship, Kestrel, it said. You have attacked us under council orders. We have shown you what we can do. We choose to stop here. We will not pursue you if you withdraw from human space now. Sarek rasped into his cracked calm. You could destroy us. Yes, the human voice said. We could. We will not. This is your proof. You wanted to teach us respect with your policing action. Consider this our answer. We will not be policed. We will not be prey, but we will also not slaughter you when you are already beaten. Some of Sarek's officers protested. We should regroup. Call for reinforcements. We can't let them. Sarek silenced them with a sharp gesture. His eyes, dark and angry, stared at the broken form of his own ship on the screen. Then at the calm black shape ahead. He was not a fool. He had fought too many battles to pretend this was something his fleet could win today. He opened a channel on wideband. This is High Marshal Sarek Vol, he said. His voice shook, but he forced it steady. To human warship, Kestrel, to Earth, to the Galactic Council. I acknowledge that we misjudged you. He swallowed. We will withdraw from this system, he said. We will halt offensive actions against human colonies until the Council reviews this situation. Do you accept this condition? The Kestrel replied at once. Yes, the voice said. Withdraw, and we will not strike further. Any ships that attempt to continue the policing action will be treated as hostile. We have more than one way to stop you. Today, we chose the clear way. Next time we might go back to the quiet way. You will not enjoy either. Sarek's crest dipped, a gesture halfway between anger and acknowledgement. Understood, he said. He cut the line. Signal all ships, he told his comms. Retreat course. No more firing. We are going home. On coalition channels, the order spread. Some captains argued. Most obeyed. The shock was too great. The Kestrel did not chase them. It simply turned slowly to keep its broadside facing the retreating fleet, a reminder that if they chose to turn back, the beam could fire again. In the Colorado Command Center, the room let out a ragged breath. Admiral Communications said, "We have full recordings from our side. Visual, sensor, comm logs. Coalition channels too. All captured." Kara closed her eyes for a second, then opened them. "Timestamp everything. Send to Ambassador Mercer over the ghost net. High priority." "Yes, Admiral." Elias still stared at the fading red cluster of Car Prime Group on the map. "What's their status?" Kara asked. "Flagship cut in two, but with core contained," Elias said. "3 cruisers sliced but not detonated. Several more with heavy but survivable damage. Many escorts untouched. We did as ordered. We showed them what we could do without wiping them out." "And Kepler, 9-2? Kara asked. The map zoomed. The human colony lay untouched. Its orbital platforms were still dark, shields up, but weapons cold. "They're safe," the analyst said softly. "For now." Kara's jaw tightened. "For now we'll have to do." On the council station hours later, the chamber was full. The attack report had spread faster than any of Daniel Mercer's warnings. Every news feed carried shaky, stunned footage shot from coalition ships. Beams slamming into a black hull and sliding off. A proud flagship sliced clean in a white line. A human vessel speaking calm words into the chaos. For the first time in a long time, the old empires were not bored. The chamber buzzed with harsh voices and flashing signals. Some demanded immediate sanctions. Some called for a full war. Some spoke of fear. Speaker Threxium struck the central platform with a bright rod. The sound rang clear. "The council will come to order," they said. Their 6 eyes were narrowed. "We have received confirmed reports of a human capital vessel of unknown design engaging coalition forces at Kepler. 9-2, disabling multiple ships in a single action. High Marshal Sarek Vol is present via remote link. Ambassador Mercer is here in person. We will hear their accounts." The car section's lights burned hot. Colors of shame and anger. A live hollow of Sarek floated above their platform, projected from the medical bay where he lay with half his body immobilized. His voice was cut, but still sharp. "You all saw the footage," he said without ceremony. We approached Kepler. 9-2 under council, orders. We followed protocol. We engaged what we thought was a lone, unauthorized ship. That ship made a joke of our weapons and tore our core apart with a single beam. That is the fact. A low murmur ran through the hall. "And what is your recommendation, High Marshal?" Threxium asked. Sarek's eyes burned. "We must treat humanity as a major military power," he said. "No more junior status games. No more soft lessons. If we push them again, we risk losing entire fleets. If we do nothing, we show every young species that the Council can be baited and humiliated. Sur delegate, repeated, tasting the word." "Yes," Sarek said. "We attacked their space, and they stopped us without killing us all. They could have. They chose not to. That, it galls me. But it is also the only reason I am speaking to you now. Many eyes turned toward the human platform. Daniel Mercer stood there, as calm as he had been on the day of his warning. The gray suit was the same. The lines on his face were a little deeper. Ambassador Mercer, Threxium said, humanity has fielded a hidden warship that attacked Council forces. You have disabled a policing action authorized by this body. You have shown clear, advanced military capability that you hid during your entry request. Explain yourself. Daniel stepped forward into the same circle of light as before. Honored Council, he said, voice steady. Everything you have seen in the last day is exactly what I warned you about. Screens around the chamber lit up with clips from the battle synced with his earlier speech. Him saying, "We will not fire first," next to footage of the Kestrel waiting under the first barrage. Him saying, "We will answer with proof," next to the clean line across a cruiser's hull. "We did not fire first," Daniel went on. "Your fleets crossed into our space, took our colonies, and fired on our people. Your flagship group fired on our ship in full view of a recording field. Only then did we respond. You responded with a weapon that can cut fleets apart," a Kari delegate snapped. "You hid this capability from us while acting weak in this chamber." "That is deception." "Yes," Daniel said. "It is. You taught us to do it." Gasps and sharp color flashes answered that. Daniel did not raise his voice. "For centuries," he said, "this council has handled young species with force hidden behind polite words. You call it policing. You speak of order while sending fleets to smash colonies. You ask for respect while humiliating those who are smaller." Threxium's eyes hardened. "We maintain balance. Without the Council, this galaxy would drown in small wars. And how many wars did you start early?" Daniel asked quietly. "Because you feared what you thought someone might become." Silence. "From the day we arrived," he said, "we knew you saw us as loud, fast, dangerous. We saw the old war records. We saw what you did to species that grew too strong too quickly. So we built a doctrine: never fire first. Never show full strength until forced. Never let your fear write our story." He pointed to the footage of the Kestrel holding fire under the first attacks. "You brought fleets to our door," Daniel said. "We answered with silence as long as we could. We misled you. We bent your routes. We captured your ships without burning them. We tried to stop your action without turning it into a real war. And when that failed," Threxium said coldly, "you brought out a weapon that made a mockery of everything in this chamber." "No," Daniel said, and for the first time there was an edge in his voice. "We brought out a mirror. We showed you exactly what you were doing to us, in a way you could not ignore." He gestured. New clips rolled. Coalition ships raising flags over human domes. Council members calling it discipline. Sarek smiling at the start. "Of the action, you called our outer colonies lessons," Daniel said. "You said a little pain would teach us respect. We decided to show you what it feels like when the lesson points back at the teacher. Some of the older empires shifted, uncomfortable. A delegate from a small young species, long treated as junior, watched with wide eyes. "You stand here proud," a sure envoy hissed after you turned our fleets into hostages and mazes. Daniel met those angry eyes. "I stand here tired," he said. "I am not proud of any of this, but I am glad to see you finally listening." He lifted a hand. The chamber dimmed slightly as a new display formed in the air. It was not battle footage. It was numbers, coalition personnel captured and held by human forces. Daniel said, 8,394. As of this morning, most in stasis. None harmed beyond the injuries of their own crashes and mishaps. We will release them. All of them. Once this council agrees to stop treating humans as a species to be punished at will. A wave of shock ran through the hall. Sarek's holo flared red. "You hold our crews like bargaining chips?" "Yes," Daniel said. Openly, clearly. Not in secret prisons, in secure facilities with full medical care under strict rules. We did not erase them. We did not torture them. We stopped them from killing our people, and then stored them. Threxium's voice sharpened. "This is blackmail. This is boundary." Daniel answered, "No more soft words. Here is the line. You leave our space alone, and we give you back every person we have. You cross into our space again with guns and banners, and next time we do not stop at disabling half your fleet." The last words hung heavy. Every delegate in that hall knew that he was not bluffing. They had seen the proof. "Look at what your policing action brought," Daniel said, more quietly. "Your ships shattered. Your crews sleeping in cold tanks under our hills. Your proud fleets cut by a species you never took seriously. Is this the story you want to tell your worlds? That you prodded the noisy traitors until they had to teach you fear?" The young species, delegates in the chamber, watched him with a mix of hope and worry. The old empires shifted, angry at being put in this position. Threxium's eyes were very still. "What do you want, Ambassador Mercer?" they asked. "Say it clearly." "Terms. Conditions." Daniel drew a slow breath. "First," he said, "an official end to the policing action. Not a pause, not a review. A clear resolution. The Council withdraws all fleets from human-declared space and will not authorize future disciplined actions against us." Without our consent, murmurs rose, then settled as Threxium's gaze swept the hall. "Second," Daniel said, "full acknowledgement in the record that Earth did not fire first. That this council chose force over dialogue, that humans asked you not to send your fleets, and you ignored us." Several delegates shifted, uncomfortable. Some looked offended. "That is not usual language for our resolutions," Threxium said. No, Daniel agreed. "But it will be true, and history will see it. This matters to us. We will not be remembered as the savages who surprised you for no reason. We will be remembered as the people you pushed until we had to answer." A car delegate hissed softly. "You're making us your villains, No, Daniel said. You did that yourselves. I'm just making sure the record doesn't lie about it. Threxium's eyes cooled further. And third? Yes, Daniel said. Third, new rules of contact for all young species, not just humans. That drew real surprise. What? A Kari envoy asked. You speak for everyone now. I speak for the pattern, Daniel said. What you tried to do to us, you have done to others. You call it guidance. They call it fear. That cycle ends today. Or this battle will not be the last. He raised his hand, and a simple document appeared in the air. No long, flowing script, just clear lines. Proposal, Daniel said. The Council will no longer approve policing actions that use military force against member species without the direct threat of large-scale aggression. Trade fines? Yes. Embargoes? Yes. Public censures? Yes. But fleets sent to teach lessons to colonies that have not attacked anyone. No more. That is how we keep the peace, a sure delegate snapped. Without those measures, every junior will push our borders. Or, Daniel said, maybe, without the threat of your fleets hanging over them. They will stop seeing you as tyrants and start seeing you as partners. The young species delegates stared, almost not daring to breathe. Threxium looked like they were weighing whole centuries in their head. You ask a great deal, they said at last. You hold our ships and our pride in your hands, and say, change, or we will show you more of this. No, Daniel said softly. I say, change, or you will force us to become what you fear. And we do not want that. Not at all. He thought of the Kestrel, its beam cutting neat lines in the dark. He thought of Admiral Kara Vance, watching names scroll past in Colorado. He thought of Elias Chen counting captured crews like cold statistics. He did not want a galaxy where humans use that power over and over. I do not want my grandchildren to grow up in a sky where every world flinches when a human ship appears, Daniel said. I want them to live in a sky where our strength is known and almost never used. A sky where no species is dragged down just for growing too fast. Sarek's hollow watched him, unreadable. What if? The High Marshal said slowly. We refuse. Daniel met his eyes. Then you will send more fleets. We will bleed them in the dark until you are too tired to move. We will send more Kestrels. We will make your old war stories about dangerous newcomers into a true thing, and it will be your choice. The threat was plain. So was the grief behind it. Threxium turned slightly, addressing the chamber. Delegates, they said, you have heard the human terms. End the policing action. Record our own error. Change the way we handle juniors. In exchange, we get our captured crews back, our disabled ships returned where possible, and a clear promise that humanity will not strike us if we do not strike them. And if we agree, a small planet delegate asked carefully, will the humans share how they misled our ships, their false maps? Their false maps, their fuel tricks. That knowledge would be valuable. Daniel shook his head. No, That tool exists to defend us. We will not turn it into a trade item. We will not turn it into a trade item. You have your own wisdom. Just aim it differently. Some looked disappointed. Others relieved. Threxium's eyes moved slowly around the hall. They saw old allies, nervous. Old rivals, eager to see a proud power humbled. Juniors, watching like children at a campfire. At last, the speaker looked back at Daniel. If we accept these terms, they said, if we vote to change our own rules and admit our own mistakes, what keeps you from turning that ship of yours on us someday, anyway? What keeps you from becoming exactly what you say you hate? Daniel exhaled. Daniel exhaled. Us, he said simply, the same thing that kept the Kestrel from cutting your fleet to pieces when it could have. The same thing that kept us from dropping rocks on your worlds when we learned how. Choice, doctrine, the promises we made to ourselves long before we made them to you. He paused, then added, you have my word on record. Earth will not start a war with any council species. We will defend ourselves hard if we must, but we will not go looking for enemies. We have entire galaxies to learn, entire arts, sciences, and friendships we haven't even started. We don't have time to be your next monster. The chamber went quiet. Threxium studied him for a long, long moment. Then the speaker turned to the voting ring. The council will now vote on Resolution 94H, they said, termination of the policing action against humanity. Declaration of non-aggression terms with Earth. Reform of policing action protocols as described. Reform of policing action protocols. As described, lights brightened. Voting bands woke. Delegates cast their choices. Taps, scents, flashes. Daniel watched the upper ring. Green spread, then faltered, then surged again. Old empires dragged their feet, but younger ones pushed, even some elders, eyeing the footage of the Kestrel and the long list of captured, not killed crews, hesitated to risk more. At last, the board settled. Speaker Threxium's eyes flickered as they took it in. By a clear majority, they said. Voice carrying through the Great Hall, Resolution 94 passes. The policing action against humanity is hereby ended. The Council recognizes that it erred in seeking to discipline Earth with force rather than full diplomacy. New limits on such actions are now part of our law. The words we aired had never sounded from that platform before. Some delegates looked furious. Some resigned. Some relieved. Daniel felt his knees almost buckle with the weight of it. He made himself stay straight. Threxium turned back to him. Ambassador Mercer, they said, in light of this vote, we expect the immediate and safe return of all coalition personnel and hulls under your control. You will have them, Daniel said. We will coordinate with your nav offices to arrange pickup from neutral spaces. No traps, no tricks. Our side of the bargain will be clean. And the Kestrel? A car envoy spat. What of that thing? Daniel looked down at his hands, then up "It will go home," he said. "It will not take another shot unless you break Tade's agreement. It was built to answer your fear. Now that you have seen it, we would like very much for it to sleep." Some in the chamber did not believe him. That was fine. Trust would take time. But in Colorado, when the message reached her, Admiral Kara Vance stood in front of the Kestrel status board and felt something inside unclench. "Council backed down," she said to the room. "They ended the action. They admitted fault. It's done." A cheer rippled through the command center, then died quickly as people remembered the names on the lost lists. "What about the doctrine?" the young intelligence officer asked. "Do we stand it down?" Kara looked at Elias Chen. "Not stand down," Elias said slowly. "Stand by. The silent Earth systems will stay in place. The false maps, the hidden depots, the quiet nets. But we lock them behind stricter keys. No use except in clear defense. No use because someone in this room gets angry." Kara nodded. "We keep the shield. We don't use it to play bully." She tapped the board. The Kestrel's status shifted from battle condition to low alert. "Signal to Kestrel," she said. "Stand down from combat readiness. Begin return to deep dock. Debrief to follow." "Yes, Admiral," communication said, smiling for the first time in days. "And our guests?" someone asked. Elias brought up a new map. 23 hidden detention sites, each marked with a small, blinking dot. "We start waking them up," he said. "Carefully, under watch. We tell them where they are and what happened. We send them home with a story their leaders can't easily twist." "And our own people," Kara said. "The ones who lost homes, family stations." The room quieted. Elias' voice softened. "We bring them home too, or help them build new homes, and we tell them that their anger is real, but that we used it to draw a line, not to burn the galaxy down." In the council chamber as the session closed, Daniel stepped back from the light. The young woman from the human balcony joined him. "You did it," she said softly. "They actually admitted they were wrong. For now," Daniel said, "we'll have to remind them over and over quietly." She glanced up toward the car section, where Sarek's hollow had faded. "Do you trust them?" she asked. Daniel thought of the look in Sarek's eyes when he said, "I acknowledge that we misjudged you." There had been anger there. Also a hard kind of respect. "I trust their fear," Daniel said. "And I trust our own rules more." He looked out through the high window at the stars beyond the station. Warp lanes shimmered. Some old and set, some newly renegotiated. "We came here wanting equal status without bending our knees," he said quietly. "We leave here having shown our teeth. That was always the danger." "Did we go too far?" she asked. He thought of the clean-cut hulls drifting in Kepler 92's sky, of the sleeping coalition crews under human hills, of the volunteers on sacrificial colonies who never came back. "We went as far as we had to," he said at last. "Next time, If there is a next time, I hope we don't have to go this far again." She nodded slowly. "What will you tell Earth?" she asked. "In your report," Daniel considered. "I'll tell them that the galaxy finally believes we can defend ourselves," he said, "and that now the real work begins." "The real work," she echoed. "Making sure we never have to prove it like this again," Daniel said. "Teaching others that strength does not always mean cutting ships in half. That sometimes it means holding your fire when you could press the trigger. That's the lesson I want our name attached to." He looked back once at the chamber, where old empires still glared, and young ones watched with new hope. Then he turned away, heading for the dock, where a small, unarmed shuttle waited to take him back toward home. Outside, in the quiet between stars, the Kestrel slipped along a private lane, armor dimmed, weapons cold. Around it, the silent nets of the Doctrine hummed softly, ready but resting for now. The war that had looked like peace had ended without turning into the kind of war the galaxy feared most. For now, proof was enough.